Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Hope your new year is going well. Hope January went great in terms of reading. Um, as for me, my reading went okay. Hit a bit of a snag towards the end. But in any case, this was one of the last books I read, which was called The Future by Catherine Leroux. Um, It was translated from French by, I don't know how to pronounce her, Susan Ouriou. So, it's probably Spanish. Anyways, I'll read the back and I'll give you my rating and thoughts. In an alternate history of Detroit, the Motor City was never surrendered to the U.S. Its residents deal with pollution, poverty, and the legacy of racism, and strange and magical things are happening. Children rule over their own kingdom in the trees, and burned houses regenerate themselves. Gloria arrives looking for answers and her missing granddaughters, and at first she finds only a hungry mouse in the derelict home where her daughter was murdered. But the neighbors take pity on her, and she turns on their resilience and impressive gardens for sustenance. When a strange intuition leads her into the woods of Park Rouge, where the city's orphaned and abandoned children are rumored to have created their own society. She can't imagine the strength she will find, a richly imagined story of community and a plea for persistence in the face of our uncertain future. The future is a lyrical testament to the power we hold to protect the people and places we love together. I gave this book a 3. So it's a strong book. It's very well done. It's very well crafted. This book came out in 2020. Translation copy came out 3 years later. It was part of Canada Reads in 2024, and it won that one. Now, out of all the books, 5 books, this is the second book I've read from that one. The first one I read was Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. I don't know why it was picked for Canada Reads, but my guess is, and I surmise, that it's probably because it was romance and it was something different. Anyways, this was a book club read for me for January. Like I said, I give it a 3. I was impressed by the strong story and the strong characterizations of the author. But unfortunately, I had a bit of a problem with the story itself. I really didn't understand what was going on. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's a reimagining where Detroit was not surrendered from the British to the Americans, and it's part of Canada. And it's remained French. That's what I got most clearly. If you must know, Fort Detroit was part of French Canada, or part of New France at some point, or part of France's holdings. And it lost, I believe Detroit was surrendered to the British in the 7 Years' War, what we here in Canada call the 7 Years' War, what is called in America the French and Indian Wars. When they lost, I would say, whenever Battle of Quebec was, Battle of Plains of Abraham, which was 1757, I think. Could be wrong, maybe 1754, somewhere in there. Somewhere in between 1754 and 1757. Those years kind of ring a bell in my head for some reason. I can actually look it up. I'll look it up right now. Because I've gotta be joking. Sorry. Oh, I was wrong. It was 1759. So my guess is in the 1760s sometime, because it was late in 1759. So anyways, long story short, it was part of the French Empire, Fort Detroit. And it eventually became part of British Empire after that. So you can probably look that up on Wikipedia. Get a bit more better idea of when it was surrendered to probably in the Paris Peace Treaty of 1760 or whenever it was. But in any case, it became a British fort, and then I don't know how it became an American fort. I don't know, but I know that it was fought over during the War of 1812 between the British and the Americans during that war, because the British wanted it back, and so forth and so on. I get into I don't really know how. Well, it didn't lose control until 1813. So it had to do with the War of 1812. That's why Detroit became American. So it was originally French. So in any case, anyways, Detroit has has somewhat of a history with Canada. Not just the fact that it's close to Windsor and that sort of thing, but it has actual colonial ties to Canada. Anyways, also why I gave this a 3 is I'm not really a big fan of dystopian, and I'm not a big fan of what ifs. And so that is what the book is about. It's a really interesting read. I didn't particularly like it. I thought it was, I think also the fact that it's a translation from French, there's probably something that is lost in the translation. And I imagine if you knew French enough that you could read this book, it would probably be a lot better. Now, I'm not saying she's a bad author, because she does a number of translations from English into French herself, Catherine Leroux. That's what she primarily does. That's her primary job, as a translator. So, she is an author herself. She works as a translator and editor in Montreal, and she got the 2019 Governor General's Award for Literary Award for Translation. And she's also the translator has also won that same award too. Yes, so interesting from French to English, and interested in reading that book then. Yeah, it's mostly for me, it's that I'm not a big fan of dystopian fiction. I've never been and of doing that sort of thing. So anyways, that was The Future by Catherine Leroux, which was translated from French. And yeah, I think, I'm reading some of the blurbs on here. It is very unique, and it is very different, and it's very interesting that it did win the Canada Reads Award that year. But not that it's not a good book, it's just not one of my favorites. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys soon. I've got to go. I've got some stuff to do today, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.